Hey there, we have a full moon coming up on Wednesday, April 1st, a April Fool's Day, Libra full moon, and it is really about balance and where we need to look deeper within ourselves to ask what balance really means. I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro perspective for Sunday, March 29th, and we are looking at the April 1st full moon in Libra. So the full moon, right? The moon opposite the sun, the moon at its fullest, its brightest, its most illuminated. That full moon is revealing something to us. It is having the full light of the sun reflected back to show us something we need to see. And that full moon in Libra is about balance. And we have this much deeper process going on with with Saturn and Neptune in Aries, Mars and Mercury in Pisces. So Mars, the ruler of Aries, the sign that Saturn and Neptune just had their conjunction in. Both planets are in the sign of Aries right now. So we have that energy, that new beginnings, but at the same time, we're not really yet ready to go out the gate because Mars, that ruler of Aries, is still in Pisces, says we still have that work to do to release the past, to connect with what is true and important in the bigger picture, what matters to us, what really is the meaning that is going to shape what comes next. And so, what comes next is going to be the ability to create something new. Aries is a new beginning, brings a new beginning. It brings that ability to create something new. Aries is the warrior. It does not hold back. it takes action without thought. It operates really on instinct, spontaneously, based on what is true and right in the moment without thinking about that bigger picture. So in order for that Aries energy to have the direction, to have the clarity about where it's going, it has to it goes through Pisces first, right? Whatever planet we're talking about goes through Pisces before it gets to Aries. And so when it goes through Pisces, we first of all shed the old whatever. It could be our old self. It could be an old identity. It could be an old system, an old way of operating, an old belief system. Whatever is coming to an end is ready to dissolve back into the great unknown, where from whence it came, right? Things incarnate, they come into being, and they, I don't know, discarnate. They get released back into that great unknown, that great mystery. And so when things are let go, when things are released, when the things and the form and the shape that they have taken is ready to dissolve, that makes way for a new shape to be built, to be constructed. And in that process of letting go of those old forms, those old identities, those old shapes and ways of being, in the process of letting go, we are also inviting in the spirit of what is yet to come. And so that is what we are connecting with Mars, the warrior planet, the ruler of Aries, still in Pisces during this full moon. And that Libra, so the sun is in Aries, the moon is in Libra, it's a Libra full moon. That Libra energy is really asking us to, on this cusp of new beginnings, on this cusp where we are ready to leap, but we have not yet fully finished the work of releasing the past, of letting go of old shapes, old forms, old identities, old beliefs, right? the constructs we have had that have propped us up in the past, those are being let go to create something new. And on that cusp of this kind of moment in time, bigger picture cycles, where we had the Saturn Neptune conjunction, so that seed moment is now past, but we're still at the very, very beginning of what it's going to look like for that process to unfold. We haven't yet really, we're not really yet even able to glimpse what that might look like, because the conjunction is still so close. Saturn is only 3 degrees away from Neptune as of this full moon. So anyway, it's still conjunct. And the Libra full moon is about balance. So opposite Aries says go. I'm not going to think. I'm just going to become what I'm here to be, right? And that's why we have to connect with that bigger picture of meaning before we move into that Aries, like the seed is sprouting. We have to know what the seed wants to be. And then that Libra energy says, in all of this, what does balance look like for you? So how is the old ways that you have operated, the old beliefs, ways of thinking, thought patterns, behaviors, habits, routines, things that have brought you comfort? It's like, this is the way I do it. Maybe it's not the best way to do it, but I know how it works. But Libra says that is a kind of balance. Yes, that is a kind of balance. Like, it's a way that we function. And so functional dysfunction, right? It's a way that we function in our dysfunctions, because it has a kind of balance that allows us to, this is what we know how to do. We're going to keep doing it. But in the end, in the bigger picture, it's not really all that functional. So the parts of ourselves, the old habits, patterns, behaviors, routines, beliefs that aren't really serving us, that are not going to help us get where we want to go with that Aries creative energy of Saturn and Neptune planting the seed of the dream, we have to recreate what balance looks like, what balance means in our lives, what balance will look like going forward into the future. So that is what this full moon really asks. And the sun and moon, the full moon, are both in a T-square to Jupiter during the exact full moon. So that means that there's this challenging pressure from Jupiter, which is faith, beliefs, expansion, abundance, trust, our ability to have faith and hope and things like that. In Cancer, which says, what are your beliefs about caring? What are your beliefs about what you need? How you're going to meet your needs? How you're going to take care of yourself? And now put this in the context of this bigger picture of releasing the past, releasing the old habits and beliefs, ways that we have dysfunctionally functioned, the ways we have dysfunctionally functioned. And it's saying, what does self-care, what is caring, but specifically, what does self-care really look like going forward into a new kind of balance, a new way of finding balance in your life that helps you create a more functional way of functioning. So hopefully, with the releasing, with the letting go, with the dissolving of old systems, some of what you are letting go of could have to do with beliefs about yourself, beliefs about your needs, beliefs about what needs you deserve to have met, what you deserve in general, how you're going to get those needs met, whether you are, allowed to, within the system, within the way that things are Are you allowed to feel cared for? Are you allowed to care for yourself? So this full moon asks us, what is that caring going to look like in this bigger picture of where we are heading? And where we are heading, we don't know yet. Like I said, it's still too close to even really glimpse it. But it's being guided by this bigger picture of what matters. And so you might have, and we've talked about bigger picture principles, things that are, the morals, the ethics, the ways that you want to see justice in the world, the way that systems really need to be reformed to function better. So that's big, in the collective. But in your life, in the here and now, in your personal experience, this condenses down into how do you take care of yourself? What are your beliefs about how your needs are going to get met, or if they're going to get met? Where is your faith and trust that your needs will be met, that you are safe, that you are cared for, that your loved ones are safe and cared for? What does not work for you about that from the past, and how are you going to make different choices for yourself to plant that seed of caring that you want to see and grow in the world? So when you treat yourself the way you want anyone in the world to be treated, that's a starting place. So this full moon asks, what is balance? What does balance really look like when it is more functional for you? So what does it look like to hold everything together in the future, as opposed to what it looked like to hold everything together in the past? And that past that maybe is not so sustainable, like maybe, yeah, I could hold it all together, but it wasn't really working for me. It wasn't really meeting my needs, my family's needs, my community's needs. So what is it about that that needs to change to create a different way of having balance? One that serves our needs better, one that helps us feel more it is more sustainable because our needs are getting met better. So those are the kinds of things that we are being asked to think about, especially with Jupiter in Cancer. So Jupiter stays in a sign for about a year. It is midway through Cancer, 15 degrees, and it's been retrograde. And that retrograde period also gets us thinking about, how do we review? Where do we need to reevaluate our approaches to and our beliefs about caring and and getting our needs met and self-care and all that stuff? So that Jupiter in Cancer energy is there in the background, and is highlighted by this full moon in Libra that is about balance. And by the way, also Libra is the sign of the peacemaker. So you can also think about this in the context of what it means to be a peacemaker. And does that mean being a doormat? Does that mean people pleasing? Does that mean sacrificing yourself and your own needs, for this sort of idea that I can sacrifice my own needs, but it's okay for the whole? It's, this is what is needed for the whole. Or is it really asking what not doing that would look like? So what is not people pleasing, not being a doormat, not sacrificing yourself and your own needs? How does that help create balance that is more balanced, more sustainable? Yeah. So balance can look like people pleasing, or it can look like I am going to show up as myself, speak my truth, be who I am, need the things that I need, and we're going to create balance from that place, because that is the truth, right? We're all going to be healthier and more functional, more able, we'll have more energy, we'll be able to be more creative and more contributing to creating society the way we want it if we are having all those things, if we're not sacrificing our needs, if we're not giving up who we are for balance, right? So real balance means bringing yourself to the table, being who you are, your voice, all of that. It also means listening to voices that are traditionally underrepresented, to voices and ways of being at the table that have not been valued or honored. So it means speaking your truth. It also means letting someone else have space to speak their truth. And that, that sometimes feels less balanced because we're upsetting the apple cart, right? We're upsetting what has worked. We're upsetting the way it is. But in order to create something better, we have to be willing to let go of what has kept us safe in the past and step into new and better ways of doing it that serve our own needs. And that bigger picture says it's the same thing. Having your needs met and having balance in your life and having an expectation that your needs will be met is part of that bigger whole about how do we do this in the wider world, in our communities, in society. How could we think about it differently? How could we do it differently? What's possible? And all of those things are on the table with this new Aries, new beginnings. Like, we can create that if we choose to, if we want to put our energy and our effort into making something better, we can do that with this energy. So this Libra full moon is a reminder of what balance looks like in your life and what a better balance might be for you going into the future than the kind of balance that maybe has worked for you, but not really in the past. And those are my thoughts as we really are on this, cusp of having Mercury and Mars still in Pisces, with Saturn and Neptune and the Sun all in Aries, like that forward moving energy. And the moon says, hey, wait a minute, let's really ask what we want here and how we're going to make sure everything, everybody's needs are included. All of my own needs personally, get valued and prioritized, and there's not a right answer, right? There's not a perfection. There's not a right way to do this. It's just really about asking those questions to say, where have I compromised a little bit more than is really good for me? And how could I do that differently? So big picture stuff, but also really bringing it into the personal can make it approachable and doable. And this full moon can help us on that journey to figuring out what things might look like if we did them differently and in a way that works better for ourselves and all beings. Thanks for being here. I'm Marina Orms, and I am here every day with Astrology for Unshakable Self-Care. I have a member site at transformationalastrology.com where you can learn more about me and more fabulous content about the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, my Emergence guest speaker series, and evolutionary astrology, and your own lunar nodes, your evolutionary medicine. So all of that is available at transformationalastrology.com. Thanks for being here. I will see you next time with more astrology for unshakable self-care. And thank you for subscribing to this YouTube channel. Bye for now.